So, I popped into High House Insurance to see if they could quote for my house insurance rather than using the internet. High House got a great deal. So to celebrate, I bought a posh hairdo. It made me look beautiful, gorgeous enough to become a highly paid model. I then won Celebrity Big Brother. I had an affair with an MP. Now I'm promoting a doll of me that says, "Cool blimey, you're well fit."
Happy things happen when you talk face-to-face with High House Insurance. See if we can beat your home insurance quote from the internet. Find us on the High Street Selsey or call 606 552.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Manhood Internet Radio. I'm Tony Weiner, your host for this show, and what a show we have for you. In fact, I think I will be on overtime this week. We will kick off with a roundup of things to do in Selsey, but fear not people, Alison will be back later with events in other parts on the Manhood Peninsula. We'll then find out the answers to the last quiz, as I expect many of you are on tenterhooks about this. We have the welcome return of David Gaunt and his gardening tips for the month, before we let Keith out to talk to Sue Osborne to find out what Selsey Works is all about. At the end of that, Alison will be ready to tell us about events in Bracklesham and the Witterings. See, I told you she will be back, as there's no fake news on my show. Another person doing great things in Selsey is Kylie Scott, and she will be talking to Keith about Snack Shack and the new adventure Teen Safe. That is, keeping them safe and not putting them in one. To keep our energy up for the quiz, Keith is back in his kitchen with more recipes. Before the terror of the brain, Kevin returns with another quiz, and we then finish with Alison's weather and tide report. Well, that's enough from me, so it's over to Alison.
Hello there, and welcome once again to our weekly look at what's going on in Selsey and the rest of the Manhood Peninsula. So first of all, let's start in the town. On Wednesday, that's the 8th of March, it's time for the Seal Island Swimming Club. They meet at the Oasis Pool at Buns from 9:30 until 10:30 in the morning. Also in the morning, weather permitting, the Model Boat Club meets at East Beach Pond from 10 until 12. And then in the afternoon, it's the Selsey WI meeting at the Town Hall between 2:15 and 3:15. In the evening, as usual, the Selsey Community Choir will be practising. They meet at the Methodist Church Hall. They start at 7 and finish at 8:30. And then also on a Wednesday, carpet bowls. They can be found at Medmery Primary School on School Lane. They start at 7 and finish at 8. So on Thursday, lots of things going on as well. It's the Jigsaw Puzzle Club. You can come in and pick up a jigsaw from 14 Green Lane anytime between 10 and 4. The contact number for that is 605 942, so that's the Jigsaw Puzzle Club. In the evening, Lighthouse Youth Club will take place at East Beach Church for school years 5 to 8. That's between 6:30 and 7:45. It's time on Thursday also for the Film Club. Ethel and Ernest is the intriguing title of an animation. It's based on Raymond Briggs's award-winning graphic novel, Ethel and Ernest, which is a funny and touching tribute to his parents. You can be assured of an entertaining and heartwarming story about two people who fall in love against the background of immense social change taking place in the middle of the 20th century. £5 a ticket, you can buy them on the door. Curtain opens at 7:30 and it should be over between 9:30 and 10 in the evening. So that's Thursday. Also on Thursday, of course, in the morning, it's the mobile soft play session for the under fives at the Selsey Centre. They start at 10, finish at 11:30. The contact, as always, is either Sue or Tom on 604 642. And then in the evening at 8 o'clock at the Selsey Centre, there's adult kickboxing. On Friday the 10th of March, the Derby and Joan Club takes place at St Peter's Church Hall. And it's also the Seal Island Swimming Club between 9:30 and 10:30, again at the Oasis Pool. If you're a beginner wanting to start bridge, then why not try beginner's bridge at the Selsey Club, Cox's Road, between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Also in the afternoon, a bit of mindful music making takes place at the shop on the High Street. Anna is the person for that. Her number 07912 609 437. That's mindful music making between 2 and 3:30 in the afternoon. And then later on, Bright Sparks Club meet at East Beach Church. This is for school years 1 to 4. That starts at 5 and finishes at 6. On Saturdays, of course, we've got the usual Venture Club. Their boutique is now open, don't forget. And we've also got the Scout Sale. So 2 regular events there. It's also the day for the Selsey Striders. They claim it's suitable for all, so why not go along to Hillfield Road car park and meet them between 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning on Saturday. Also on Saturday, kickboxing at the Selsey Centre for 4 to 6-year-olds at 9:45, and there's a family class then at 10:30 in the morning. On Sunday the 12th of March, there's a tabletop sale at the Selsey Centre, beginning at 8 and ending at 11. Buyers from 9 o'clock. So if you're a seller, turn up at 8 and a buyer at 9. Again, it's the Selsey Model Boat Club at Pond, East Beach. That takes place between 10 and 12 if the weather's good enough. So that's Sunday. We've also got the Selsey Power Rangers who meet at the Hillfield Road car park between 9 and 10. Carpet bowls between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning, and also an afternoon session at 3. Again, Medmary Primary School on School Lane is the venue for that. Now, something out in Siddlesham takes place on Sunday the 12th. There's a tea time concert at the church, St Mary's Our Lady, Siddlesham. Ian Scott and Joanna Chivers will be playing. This is going to be a concert of music for the violin and piano with a retiring collection in aid of their Parish Rooms project. The music will include works by Handel, Elgar and Kreisler, as well as some lighter items. Evidently, Ian Scott has played all over the world and was accompanist for Patrick Moore on his UK tour. There will be tea and refreshments served after the concert. On Monday the 13th, Movies for Memories. That starts at 1, finishes at 3:30. Carry On Cleo will be showing at the Town Hall. If you're interested in that, you probably do have to book on 201 616. And then in the evening on Monday, Netball for All at the Academy Small Hall. If you're interested in that, you need to contact Penny. Her number is 07762 922 405. That's Penny on 07762 922 405. That starts at 6 and finishes at 7. And then on Tuesday, we've got a beginner's circuit course at the Selsey Centre, and also again Netball for All, this time between 7 and 8. A little bit later, that one is held again at the Academy, but you'll find them in the Sports Hall. Also on Tuesday in the morning, there's the regular mobile soft play session for the under 5s, as usual at the Selsey Centre between 10 and 11:30. Sue or Tom are your people for that, 604 642. And then later in the afternoon, kids kickboxing again at the Selsey Centre, 4 to 6-year-olds at 4:30 and the over 6s at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you, Alison, and we can let you dash off now and get ready for what's on in Bracklesham and the Witterings. So while she's doing that, let's get the answers to last week's quiz.
Yes, it's that time once again. You've been waiting all week for these. So there's the answers to last week's Kevin's Connection quiz. And Kevin asked us, who composed the Waltz the Blue Danube? And that was, of course, Johann Strauss. Who was Dudley Moore's comedy partner? That was Peter Cook. Who played Napoleon solo in The Man from U.N.C.L.E.? Robert Vaughan. Who was Formula One World Champion in 1969, 1971 and 1973? That was Jackie Stewart. And number 5, which Welsh peninsula in South Wales is the most westerly part of the county of Glamorgan? And that is, of course, the Gower Peninsula. And so we've got Strauss, Cook, Vaughan, Stewart and Gower. And yes, they're all England Test cricket captains. So well done if you got those.
Thank you, Keith. Now then, it might still be a bit chilly, but we need to get the gardens ready, so it's over to David for more tips.
Hello, and today I want to talk about things to do in your garden in March. My favourite subject, lawns. Well, I've just begun cutting my lawn, so to start cutting one's lawns now, make sure you've got a dry surface and just tip about 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches. I would only do probably 2 cuts in March. Also, this time of the year, it's probably a good idea to put some moss treatment on. And a very light scarification. Not too harsh, otherwise you will damage the new shoots coming through. Rake the lawn to remove leaves and any hard rubbish before you start to scarify. And then a light scarification should give good rewards later in the season. March is also a good time to finish off turfing and prepare for sowing seed in April. Don't sow too early, otherwise the seeds will take a long time to germinate and may rot. Straighten any edges of the lawns as well, and if you're putting a fertiliser on, put a high-end fertiliser on, probably towards the end of March, to get the plants growing very quickly. For plants in the garden, now is the time to start planting your hardy annuals. Sweet peas, I've just planted mine last week. I prefer to grow mine in a root module for planting out later, though some people say the recommendation is to plant straight into the soil now. I've had far better germination and plants growing a lot quicker when I plant them in root modules and then plant out probably towards the end of April and early May. Any summer bedding plants can be sown in the greenhouse, or if you haven't got a greenhouse, on the windowsill with a plastic bag over the seed tray. I've had great success in the last few years using little plant modules. Some of the supermarkets and some of the nurseries sell some very good small plants, quite cheap prices. You can grow them very quickly at home, plant them out, and they should be ready for the summer. One of my favourite plants this time of the year to plant are summer bulbs, but what I like to do is spend more time talking on my next programme, which will be in a week's time. On the borders, if you haven't done much yet, cut back grasses and other dead perennials. Cut off the leaves of any hellebores, any penstemons, and this is the time now to start dividing your green snowdrops. Snowdrops are always best divided in the green and planted straight away. Hostas, before the leaves have started opening, can be cut back, and when the hellebores have finished flowering, please deadhead them. Daffodils are a perennial subject. I just remove the heads and leave the leaves to wilt down for next season. Hydrangeas, now's the time to finish deadheading the hydrangeas. Cut to just above the biggest, fattest bud. You might need to cut out some of the very older stems, ones that are looking very crinkled, to encourage new stems to come through. Then when you've done that, a deep mulch of organic material, compost, mushroom compost, when the plants have all come through, so you know exactly where they are. A good mulch is ideal. It suppresses the weeds, helps in moisture retention, and adds a good soil conditioner. Certainly you can tell when a border has been well mulched because the soil really is a lot easier to work. It also helps root development as well. Pruning. It's a good time now to make sure you finish pruning your roses. Cut back any dead, diseased or decomposing leaves and shoots. Clematis, especially the autumn flowering and summer flowering, need to be cut back really hard now. Cut them back to the lowest bud above the ground. And at the end of the month, you might find some of the evergreen shrubs can be pruned as well. As for pruning other plants, buddleias, mallows, lycestrias or pheasant's eyes and fuchsias can all be cut back hard. If you've got any cornice in the garden, the red shoots or the yellow shoots, I generally cut back between a third and a half. That keeps the really new shoots coming through next season with colour. Eucalyptus, especially Eucalyptus gunni, can be pruned now. And Caryopteris, the very nice light leaf plants with the blue flowers. At the end of the month, I would then put a general feed across all my plants, just a Grow More 15-15-15 or 7-7-7 sprinkled around the borders will really encourage new growth next season. And finally, any pots you've got, remove the top 2 or 3 inches of soil and replace it with John Innes number 3. That ensures that your crops next season, your plants next season in the pots, will grow as well as ever. Thank you. And next time we'll be talking about summer flowering bulbs.
That should keep you busy, and now a change of scene as we go over to Keith to learn all about Selsey Works.
Right, with me now I've got Sue Osborne, and Sue's the Community Support Coordinator at Selsey Town Council, and she manages the day-to-day running of Selsey Works. And all we want to know is something simple. Sue, what is Selsey Works?
Well, Selsey Works is an award-winning initiative that was set up in 2014. It's there to support members of our community with everything from job seeking, business support. We take benefit inquiries and people who perhaps have housing issues. We have a real open door policy, so people can come in and talk to us about anything and we'll have a go at helping.
Thank you. Now, how can Selsey Works help the older members of the community?
Well, there are a range of entitlements and support aids that the government, county council and district council have put in place to help people who are 65 years or over. So today I'd really like to tell you about 4 key ones, which are attendance allowance, the Blue Badge parking scheme, pension credit and radar keys.
And what's attendance allowance? Is that a benefit?
Well, we tend not to call it a benefit, it's actually an entitlement. So it can be applied for by anyone who is 65 or over, who perhaps has some health issues now that make the ordinary day-to-day living a little bit more difficult. Perhaps you've got arthritis in your hands and that makes getting dressed difficult, or perhaps preparing food. Or maybe you now walk with a stick and you find it a real struggle to get out and about. So the allowance is there to help you with your personal care so you can remain independent in your own home. It's quite simple to apply actually, you just have to complete a form, and that's something we can help you with at Selsey Works because it's quite a long form and there's a real skill to answering those questions.
So nobody needs to be frightened of the forms, they just come in and you'll give them a hand to sort them out?
Absolutely, so we can print the forms off for you, we sit and we talk through each question, we physically write it and fill it out for you and then you send it off.
Well, that's great. Now, what about the Blue Badge scheme? Is that for disabled people with a car?
So actually the blue badges are not just for disabled people. It does enable disabled people with severe mobility problems or those with age-related mobility issues to park closer to services or facilities that they need to get to. Blue badge holders may travel as either the driver or passenger, and you don't actually even need to own a car to have a blue badge. The blue badge is connected to you as an individual, not to the vehicle.
Just to add a little bit of lightheartedness to that, I've never laughed so much as when my dad was given a blue badge because he was blind.
That's going to be a nice.
They give a blue badge to a bloke because I thought it was just for driving,
no,
just for drivers.
And I think
it's
a common misconception actually. But the blue badge travels with you as an individual, so you can go in any vehicle and have the same rights. Again, it's really simple to apply for. There's a simple form. There is a fee attached, but you only pay the £10 fee if you've been successful in your application, and you pay that when you pick your badge up, which is usually from your local library. Again, we're on hand, we can sit with you and complete it, and then you just send it off.
Yeah, because people, especially people like me, get lost in forms.
Forms can be difficult, especially from government and councils. They tend to ask the same question in different ways, and it can feel like they're trying to catch you out.
And of course, having filled in so many, you're now a bit of a wizard with it. So.
Oh, well, I hope so. I hope I've been successful for some people.
Now, what if you're over 65 and you're fit and able? Is there any financial help you can receive?
There's a range of different things. Again, any member of a community, old or young, who are perhaps struggling financially should always pop in and see us, as there may be a range of different support that they can access through their district council. Particularly for over 65s or people 65 and over who are currently getting the state pension, there is a benefit called pension credit. So that's some extra money for pensioners to bring your weekly income up to a minimum amount. There's a thing called a pension credit calculator available online, and you can sit with us, we'll complete it, and it'll tell us instantly whether you'll be eligible. If you are, the quickest way is to call the pension credit claim line. But again, we do what's called supported phone calls at Selsey Works. So you can sit with me and we'll call them together and work through the call.
That's excellent, and it really is, because people do get frightened off from claiming because they can't handle the paperwork, or they can't, they're not comfortable with phoning up and talking to somebody about something they're not absolutely sure of. So, I mean, if they can come in and get yourselves involved with it and get you doing the talking for them or whatever, that's brilliant. That really is a big help.
Absolutely. And a lot of the kind of phone call systems, especially with government agencies or the Department of Work and Pensions, there's lots of if you want this department, press 1, if you recorded messages, and that can be particularly confusing.
Yes, it is, even for me, or especially for me. Now, the last item sounds very technical. What is a radar key?
Well, it's not as technical as it sounds. So a radar key is also known as a disabled toilet key. And they fit over 9,000 UK disabled toilets. They're available from Selsey Town Council, although you can get them from other services like Age UK and other organisations online. Radar keys open disabled toilets following the National Key Scheme, which was originally created to protect disabled toilets and ensure that access was kept specifically for those that actually need them.
Well, that's always a good idea because we see often enough abuse of parking spaces set out for disabled people or for parents and toddlers, and we see enough abuse of that, so I'm sure there'll be abuse of the toilet system as well.
Indeed, it can be very frustrating. So the toilets under the scheme are locked and can only be opened specifically with a radar key. So the keys are available from Selsey Town Council. They cost £5, and you can just visit our offices from 9:30 to 4pm from Monday to Friday and purchase one.
Okay, well that's great. Well, thanks, sir. It's been very informative. Now, if the listeners want to get hold of you and get more information on all the items you've talked about today, how can they do that?
Well, we've just produced a leaflet actually containing all the information on 65 and over support, including links to other really useful websites. We're going to make the leaflet hopefully available through Selsey Library, Selsey Information Exchange and Selsey Carers, as well as the Town Council offices. In addition, because we know we have a lot of silver surfers in Selsey, we also have a senior citizen page on our website, so you can visit www.selseyworks.co.uk, or if you prefer you can give me a call. I'm on 01243 200 975, or you can always pop into the Selsey Town Council offices and speak to any member of the team, including myself.
Well, that's brilliant, and I'm sure it's put a lot of people's mind at rest that they can actually pop in here and get assistance with the forms, because that's the biggest part for most of them.
Absolutely, I hope so. And the admin team at the Town Council also offer support and what we call signposting, so that there's a lot of organisations and help out there. It's just knowing how to access it.
Well, that's brilliant, sir. Well, thanks for coming in and having a chat to us and enlightening me, certainly, and enlightening the other people of what they can get if they come down to the Selsey Town Council. And this, of course, is only the tip of the iceberg. There is so much that goes on down here. So,
absolutely. I mean, the team, both at the Town Council, myself and Selsey Works, we work with everyone from 15-year-old young people who are perhaps struggling to get engaged in education to 94-year-olds who are looking for a new club to join.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. Well, thanks for coming in once again, Sue. And I don't doubt that we'll talk to you again in the future.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Great work there, and typical of the Caring Society that we have in Selsey. Now Alison is ready for a news about Bracklesham and the Witterings.
Hello there, and welcome once again to our weekly look at what's going on in Selsey and the rest of the Manhood Peninsula. Let's have a look now at the Witterings and Bracklesham. Every Wednesday it's table tennis. Drop in and play for the adults at the Bracklesham Barn between 10 and 12. Alongside that, CBT motorcycle training takes place between 9 and 11, but that is a pre-book session. Belly dancing with Step Inside at the barn between 1 and 2, and then in the evening, Zumba with Louise between 6:30 and 7:30. Don't forget surf conditioning between 7:30 and 8:30. Then on Thursdays, we've got the Busy Bugs Toddler Gym between 9:30 and 12 noon at the barn. Over at the Witterings Medical Centre, Stitch and Yarn will take place between 10:30 and 12:30. And there's also Knit and Natter at East Wittering Library between 10 and 12:30. If you're interested in art, then why not try the Witterings Master Art Group? They meet between 10 and 12 at West Wittering Memorial Hall. In the afternoons, at East Wittering Village Hall, there's a Keep Fit class between 2 and 3. And then over at West Wittering, there's short mat bowls to be held at the Memorial Hall between 10 and 12 and 2 and 4. If you're interested in short mat bowls, Chris is your contact, 07788 11 1325. I'll repeat that long number, 07788 11 1325. Later in the evening, there's a mixed ability Pilates group at East Wittering Village Hall between 6 and 7. And then there's private ballroom and Latin starting at 7, again at East Wittering Village Hall. If you're interested in that one, you do need to book on www.strictlydancinguk.co.uk. In the evening, there's the Junior Youth Club for 8 to 12-year-olds at the Youth Centre between 5 and 6:30 in the evening, followed by the seniors between 6:30 and 8:30. There's also bingo at the British Legion at 7:30 in the evening. And don't forget on a Thursday, open mic night at Pond Barn starting at 8. On Fridays, Pilates takes place between 9:30 and 10:30 at Bracklesham Barn. And in the afternoon, again at the Barn, short mat bowls between 2 and 4. Coastliners line dancing. Put on your dancing shoes at East Wittering Village Hall between 2 and 5 in the afternoon. Then we've got jukebox night at Pond Barn between 7 and midnight. There's also private ballroom and Latin again at East Wittering Village Hall starting at 7. As usual, you need to book on www.strictlydancinguk.co.uk. On Sundays at Bracklesham Barn, the Windrush Church have their meeting between 10:30 and 12:45, and then in the evening on Sundays, it's quiz night at Pond Barn at 8 o'clock. On a Monday, don't forget the Little Ducklings Mother and Toddler Group at Bracklesham Barn between 9:30 and 11:30. And at Bracklesham Barn, also on a Monday morning, short mat bowls between 10:30 and 1. Zumba with Louise takes place in the evenings between 6:30 and 7:30, and then over at East Wittering Village Hall there's line dancing between 7 and 10 in the evening. Yoga with Elaine at Bracklesham Barn is on a Monday between 7 and 8:30, and there's also ARO Ladies Beginner Kickboxing with Verity at the Barn 7:30 until 8:30. On a Tuesday, Little Explorers play and learn together at Bracklesham Barn between 10 and 11. And there's Strength and Balance. 2 sessions there, 2 till 3 and 3 till 4, both at Bracklesham Barn. There's Up for Dance Boys Junior Dance Club at the Barn between 3:30 and 4:30. And then Up for Dance Mishmash for all juniors between 4:30 and 5:30. Don't forget Tai Chi at the Barn, 4 until 5. And then later there's the Beginner Ukulele Club, which takes place between 6:30 and 8:30 at Bracklesham Barn. The Community Pop Choir practices on a Tuesday at West Wittering Memorial Hall between 7 and 9. And then it's the Badminton Club at Bracklesham Barn between 7:30 and 9:30 in the evening. And over at Pond Barn on a Tuesday, it's free pool. Thanks for listening. Bye.
We learnt about Selsey Works earlier, and now another piece of important work as Keith talks to our youth worker, Kylie Scott.
In the studio with me now, I've got youth worker Kylie Scott, and Kylie's going to be updating us on the Snack Shack, but she's also got another very exciting project that I wish was around when I was young that she's going to be telling us about. Good morning, Kylie.
Good morning.
Now, Snack Shack, can you give us an update on the Snack Shack first?
Snack Shack is doing well, and what I've been doing is monthly reports and kind of trying to identify how many males, how many females and how many young people I have contact with over the month. So just for an example of January, I had a total contact of 628 young people, and this is broken up in my various sessions. Snack Shack had a total of 194 young people. Obviously these are the same young people, but on one night it's 24, on the next night it's 27. So it's point of contact, it's not necessarily individuals. However, I do work with some individuals, and I worked with 11 over the course of January. Lunchtime, I go into school twice a week, and I had contact with 394 young people in January. And we also have a live till 5 after school club for year 7s, and that was 29 young people. So it's just some of the issues that young people face, and how important it is to have a qualified youth worker. After 3 years of being in post, they really do trust me and come up and chat to me about various things. So lots of mental health issues come up. Young people talk to me about their school exclusions, had an incident with domestic violence, for example, and how that was affecting the young person. CAMS, employment, drugs, abortion, friendships. Whenever young people talk to me, I try and listen, and if there's any harm reduction, I try and advise around that. I support young mothers. We have a sexual health clinic that comes into Snack Shack so young people can have access to free condoms. This isn't to promote sex, it's to promote safer sex. And certainly when I started, especially in my girls group, they used to giggle like mad when they saw a condom, and didn't want to touch it. And the thing is, we just need to get young people familiar with using condoms, and they do. They are quite mature. I'm sure a lot of young people are not having sex, but they do choose to take the condoms, which is absolutely fine.
Has it become a sort of status thing with them now, is it?
Probably, yeah.
I took 20 last week.
Exactly, yeah. And I've still got 20 in my drawer. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Internet safety, which is just a whole area that I probably don't know how much I don't know. We're just in a new era. We don't know the effects that it's having on young people. From what I have found out is that when young people receive a message or a text, the brain releases some dopamine. So it's like a pleasure drug. So it's the same effect as gambling, drugs and alcohol. So I think in time what we might find is that our young people now may well have children who won't be allowed to have mobile phones or internet until they're 18, because we're realising that this is actually quite a powerful thing. So it's certainly linked into young people's self-esteem and how they cope. Young people are having pressure to send nude pictures. There's a whole kind of pressure out there that probably a lot of people are unaware of.
Yeah, I mean, people of my sort of age group struggle a bit to understand it because we didn't have it.
Absolutely.
We didn't, we had the 60s. Yeah. And then they say if you can remember it, you weren't there. Well, so we had all that, but we didn't have all this social media.
Absolutely.
We didn't have the means of communication that, the phones that they've got nowadays.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a threat, and it wasn't something we had to worry about.
And young people are spending up to 11 hours a day on their mobile phones.
Yeah, but they've got to take some responsibility for that. It's not compulsory.
Young people, well, yeah.
It's not compulsory for them to spend all this time on their phone.
But it's addictive. If you're getting dopamine every time you're getting a message, do you know what I mean? It's hard. And so when teachers are challenging, put your phones away. We're dealing with low-level addiction.
Yeah. I've got my own thoughts on that, but they need to overcome it in my book. If it's low-level addiction, to anything, coffee, whatever. If you're drinking too much coffee, stop.
Yeah.
If you're getting too many messages, turn your phone off.
Yeah.
But once again, people of my age actually do exactly the same. I've always got messages coming through. I've got emails coming through on the phone. It's because it's there.
And it makes us feel good.
But it's still fairly new.
It is.
In the whole scheme of the what's happened over the past 50 years, mobile phones are still fairly new.
They are.
And so being able to do all this stuff, it's still got a novelty to it. I think probably in 10 years' time it'll have all died off. People will just have their own, Nokia will have sold millions of 3310s, and that'll be it. People will go back to just using the phone to make phone calls. But we'll see.
Exactly. Is the what young people do with their phones now, and the photographs and the evidence, and where that isn't our property anymore. As soon as we send something, it's not our property anymore, and that's the risk to young people. If they're getting, even if they wanted to send nudes, if a young person then has that on their phone, they are in danger of having child pornography on their phone. So it's a whole host of issues, and those do not go away, and that's what this generation is going to have to deal with. When these young people are 15 or 30, how will they feel when they look back?
When 10 years ago even, phones were, just pretty much just phones.
Yeah.
And it's moved on at such pace over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to go in the next 10?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just got a feeling that the novelty will wear off a bit, and it will die a natural
I remember
death.
reading something, and it said years ago, if someone went into your room and read your diary, you'd be really annoyed. And now, if you post it on Facebook and people don't like it, you're annoyed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Moving on to something that appeals far more to me than talk of mobile phones and what have you, because I always have to get my grandson to show me how to use it anyway. Teen Safe.
Yes,
Now,
my new project.
This sounds quite an exciting project.
It is for me. It's drawing on my previous experience as a youth worker down in Plymouth, where I was a driving skills coordinator, and we had a project called Treads. We worked with schools, with police, the youth defending team, and we'd have up to 8 young people a day coming in to learn around road safety. So they spend about 2.5 hours in the classroom, and then we'd go up to an old quarry and have 2.5 hours worth of driving. So they'd have
I bet the kids hated every minute of it.
I mean, it was a fantastic job. No 2 days. It was the same. It was the same sort of thing that I was doing every day, but no 2 days were the same. And when you see a young person just being, you can just see the self-esteem and how happy they are, and just that sense of achievement. So that's kind of what I want to. It will be smaller. I can't offer what Treads has unless it takes off and I, make my company bigger, which I am hoping for. I've got a few obstacles that I need to come over, which is land. I've had a word with Goodwood, and there is a prospect of using some land there, but not very often. So this is a bit of an appeal. If anyone out there has got any land that they'd like to share with me, or come with an agreement, and it's just a space where young people will be able to experience driving a dual control car in a controlled situation. Generally we work on pulling away, steering, so we set up a slalom, maybe changing gear, reversing around the corner, and obviously stopping. So it's a very basic introduction to driving safely. I'm not a driving instructor. And then working with young people, and obviously my skills as a qualified youth worker anyway, so young people will hopefully have a provision that they can link into, that's quite exciting and a life skill.
Well, there you go. You see, you young guys and girls, if you know anybody that's got a piece of land that could be used for this, you really need to let Kylie know, because the sooner it gets going, the sooner you can join in the fun.
Absolutely.
So, and anybody out there that's listening that's got a piece of land and would like to talk it over with Kylie, how can they get in touch with you, Kylie?
I'd really appreciate a phone call, 07462 668 008. My email address is selseyouthworker@yahoo.co.uk.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to watch this project very closely, because it's dear to my own heart.
Lovely,
and I'm sure the young guys and girls will have a wonderful time. Get the thrill of getting behind the wheel of a car.
Absolutely.
And
it is a life skill.
In my book, there's nothing to replace it.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carly, and you're doing some great things for our young people. Now then, before we tackle the quiz, we need substance, so it's over to Keith's Kitchen.
And welcome once again to Keithy's Kitchen. Well, we've got a couple of lovely recipes for you this week. One containing meat and the other one containing fish. And why wouldn't we have fish, considering that our guys locally work so hard to get out there and fetch it back in for us. Right, well, we're going to start with the meat one, and that's beef in beer with herb dumplings. And this will serve 6 people, and this is what we need. 2 tablespoonfuls of sunflower oil, 2 large onions thinly sliced, 8 carrots sliced, 4 tablespoonfuls of plain flour, 1.25 kilos of stewing steak cut into cubes, 420 ml of stout, 2 teaspoonfuls of muscovado sugar, 2 bay leaves, 1 tablespoonful of chopped fresh thyme, and some salt and pepper. And to make the dumplings, we need 115 grams of self-raising flour, a pinch of salt, 55 grams of shredded suet, 2 tablespoonsful of chopped fresh parsley, plus a bit extra to garnish, and about 4 tablespoonsful of water. And this is what we do. Preheat the oven to 160 degrees at 325 Fahrenheit, gas mark 3. Heat the oil in a flame-proof casserole. Add the onions and carrots and cook over a low heat, stirring occasionally for 5 minutes or until the onions are nice and soft. Meanwhile, place the flour in a polythene bag and season to taste with salt and pepper. Add the stewing steak to the bag, tie the top and shake well to coat. And do this in batches if necessary. You don't need to do it all in one hit, because waving about 1 1/4 kilos of meat in a bag with the flour, quite heavy. Now remove the vegetables from the casserole with a slotted spoon and reserve them, put those to one side. Add the stewing steak to the casserole in batches and cook, stirring frequently until browned all over. And return all the meat and the vegetables to the casserole and sprinkle in any remaining flour, the seasoned flour that is. Pour in the stout, add the sugar, the bay leaves and the thyme, bring to the boil, cover and transfer to the preheated oven to bake for about 1.75 hours. Now, to make the herb dumplings, sift the flour and salt into a bowl, stir in the suet and parsley and add enough of the water to make a soft dough. Shape this into small balls between the palm of your hands, add to the casserole and return to the oven for 30 minutes. Remove and discard the bay leaves and serve immediately sprinkled with chopped parsley. Lovely beer and beef with herb dumplings. Smash in. And our second recipe this week, as I say, contains fish, and this is Spanish seafood stew. And this will serve 4 to 6 people, depending on your appetites, of course. And this is what we need: a large pinch of saffron threads, 4 tablespoonsful of almost boiling water, 6 tablespoonsful of olive oil, 1 large onion chopped, 2 garlic cloves finely chopped, 1.5 tablespoonsful of chopped fresh thyme leaves, 2 bay leaves, 2 red peppers de-seeded and roughly chopped, 800 grams of canned chopped tomatoes, 1 teaspoonful of smoked paprika, 250 ml of fish stock, 140 grams of blanched almonds toasted and finely ground, 12 to 16 live mussels, and these have got to be scrubbed and debearded, 12 to 16 live clams, also scrubbed, 600 grams of thick boneless hake or cod fillets, and that needs to be skinned and cut into 5 centimetre chunks, and 12 to 16 raw prawns peeled and deveined, and some salt and pepper, and some thick crusty bread to serve it with. And this is what you do. Put the saffron in a jug with water and infuse for at least 10 minutes. Heat the oil in a large heavy base flame-proof casserole over a medium heat. Reduce the heat to low and cook the onion, stirring occasionally for 10 minutes or until golden but not browned. Stir in the garlic, thyme, bay leaves and peppers and cook, stirring frequently for 5 minutes or until the peppers are softened and the onions have softened a bit more. Add the tomatoes and paprika and simmer, stirring frequently for a further 5 minutes. Stir in the stock, the saffron and its soaking liquid and the almonds and bring to the boil, but keep stirring it while you're doing it. Reduce the heat and simmer for 5 to 10 minutes until the sauce reduces, and season to taste with salt and pepper. Meanwhile, discard any mussels and clams with broken shells and any that refuse to close when tapped. Gently stir the fish into the stew, then add the prawns, the mussels and the clams. Reduce the heat to very low and cover and simmer for 5 minutes or until the fish is opaque. The mussels and clams must have opened and the prawns have turned pink. Discard any mussels or clams that remain closed and serve immediately with crusty bread. How tasty is that? Wonderful Spanish seafood stew.
Thank you, Keith. Here it is then, Kevin's Quiz of the Week.
Hello, Kevin here with this week's dose of quiz questions, connection questions, what connects all the 5 answers. Question number 1. Which folk song starts with the line, "Once a jolly swagman camped by a billabong"? What is that song called? Number 2, very recent. Which Southampton striker did they sign from QPR in January of 2016 and is currently out with a bad injury? Question number 3, literature. Who created the detective Adam Dalgleish? Who created Adam Dalgleish? Question number 4. Who was the British Chancellor of the Exchequer from 2010 to 2016? You do know him. And number 5. Which film director's works include Trainspotting and Slumdog Millionaire? And there's a new Trainspotting film just out directed by him. Who is he? So that's your 5 questions. What connects the 5 answers? Good luck.
Thank you for the challenge, Kevin. Now for those wishing to go for a dip or an excuse not to work in the garden, here is Alison with a Weather and Tide Times article.
Now let's have a look at what we can expect on the weather front for the peninsula next week. On Wednesday the 8th, we're told we should have a high of 55 degrees Fahrenheit or 13 degrees Celsius, light cloud cover, 18 mile an hour wind, which will be a west-southwesterly. And then on Thursday, slightly lower temperatures, 54 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees Celsius, with light rain, again 18 miles an hour, west-southwesterly. On Friday the 10th, a little bit cooler, 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius, light cloud, 13 miles an hour, northwesterly wind. On Saturday the 11th, a little bit warmer, 52 degrees Fahrenheit, 11 degrees Celsius, with sunny intervals, 14 mile per hour wind, northwesterly. And on Sunday the 12th, 50 degrees Fahrenheit high, 10 degrees Celsius, light cloud cover, 14 miles per hour, but this time an east-northeasterly. So that's the weather for the week. Let's have a look now at the tide tables. On Wednesday the 8th, we can expect a high at 20 to 8 in the morning and a low at 20 to 2 in the afternoon. Changing, of course, during the week, finishing on Tuesday the 14th with a high at 12:35 and a low at 6:10 in the evening. So that's about it for the Manhood Peninsula for the next week. Hope you find plenty to be getting on with, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you, Alison. That's me done for another week, so it just remains for me to thank all our contributors, including Local Life magazine, our sound editor John Mallett, our presenters Alison, David, Kevin and Keith, not forgetting, of course, our producer John Fletcher. So it's goodbye from me, Tony Weiner. Until next time, bye.